is
And when we go live here, go ahead and ask your question. Well, we're getting ready to go live on YouTube, and we are live.
very good. Good afternoon, John.
All right, man. So here we are, our weekly 10X Business Owners Mastermind call. This call happens every single week. And so, Alan Reeves, what's happening, man? My fellow co-host and partner in crime.
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Well, it's been an interesting week.
Yeah.
For a guy newly in his 50s, I guess. I got my second vaccination on Sunday, and feeling good about life, good about the world. It was a gorgeous day. And then Monday, it was like I've been hit with a Mack truck. And so
it only lasted for like 24 hours, right? And then you kind of like your body adjusted, and life is good now.
Yesterday was better, but I had a couple of late support issues that I had to deal with some clients about. I didn't get done with that till about 10 o'clock Central, and that's past my bedtime. So I woke up at way later than I wanted to. I try to do, you and I have talked about this. I try to do 5 a.m. every day, and that did not happen this morning at all. Not even close. Just having a lot of trouble, getting going in the morning. But it is getting better, and of course, it was worth it all for sure.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I found, I was going through some. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. I was going through some boxes in my storage and ran across this resource right here called the Freedom Journal. And it's something that, let me get it straight here. There we go. Okay. So John Lee Dumas put this Freedom Journal out in 2016. And I had found my original Freedom Journal, and it was kind of interesting to go back and look at where I was 5 years ago when I first started using this. But the whole thing is how to accomplish your number one goal in 100 days. And I love the accountability of the journal. I love the accountability of it all. And it breaks down, you basically decide on your top goal, only one goal for 100 days. And then it breaks it down into 10-day micro sprints towards that goal, and has daily questions so that basically hold you accountable. So, the day starts out with, I'm grateful for, and then in X amount of days I will, and then you state your goal again. My number one focus for today is, by the end of the day, I will have accomplished these 3 measurable objectives and support my SMART goal. And you list 3 things, and then your action plan for the day gives you 5 action plans, thoughts, ideas, and musings. So that's how you start your morning. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you kind of recap, okay? 2 wonderful things that happened today, 2 struggles I encountered, 2 possible solutions to those struggles. Tomorrow will be great because, and then final thought for the day. And then every 25 days, there's a quarterly, what he calls a quarterly check-in. Every 10 days, you reset a new 10-day sprint. But it was exciting to run across this. Now, I ordered the new one because, obviously, since he's released this, he made a bunch of improvements to the system and the process. But, I decided to start that on day 3 of this 100-day goal. And I remember 2016, it helped me accomplish a massive goal that I had been working on for years. And I finally said, okay, I'm going to put that into the journal, and just the accountability of it alone helped me hit that goal. And so I'm looking forward to this next, well, now I think, where am I at? 95 days or 97 days? Let's see here. 97 days from now. So it keeps you on track with what your goal is. And what happens is it creates an incredible focus. So kind of like the clean slate strategy that I've taught,
Mm-hmm.
where your short little 30-day sprints, this kind of sets it out to 100 days. It's kind of one of those tools that, with so much stuff coming after us as business owners, it's like it's so easy to go down this trail and that trail and this trail and that trail and not stay on track. And so this kind of is a tool that's working for me. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you or anybody else, but it's one of those tools that I use to stay on track, that I'm going to use over the next 100 days. So the point I'm trying to make is, like, pick a tool, and this is not just for you, this is for everybody on the call and anybody listening to the live recordings. Pick a strategy that you can commit to for at least 90 days, okay? And give it 90 days before you change course. And so today is the end of the first quarter 2021. Tomorrow we start a brand new quarter. And for today and yesterday, the one-on-one clients that I've worked with, we're focused on, okay, it's the end of Q1, and here we are at the end of June 30th of this year. We're going into Q2. It's time to look at the strategies that we've been working on with your one-page plan and updating those strategies. What worked, what's working, what didn't work and should be kind of, ex-nayed, and then what are the strategies that could be modified or improved. And really it comes down to a principle I want to teach on today's call. And then this call is going to be broken down into kind of 3 sections, and then we're going to take some questions and answers as well. I'm going to talk about a strategy called baseline strategy. And in all fairness, I didn't have a word for this strategy until I met Eric Laughlin in 2012. But Clark Broom taught me this back in 1992. And he said, if you just do this on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, you'll always continue to improve personally, and your business will always continue to improve if you're consistent. And so I'm going to teach a strategy called baseline strategy. Then I'm going to open it up for you, Alan, to talk about, okay, what is the technology update? Here we are. We're at the end of the third quarter. We're going into next month. We're going into the next 3 months. What are some of the things technology-wise that people and small business owners really need to consider in their own organizations, whether you're a solo entrepreneur and you're just one computer, or whether you have multiple employees. And then we have a guest joining us here in a little bit that is a business finance expert, and I had a chance to spend quite a bit of time with this individual. He's going to share with us the different areas of business finance and what you can do to properly capitalize your dreams and goals as a business owner. And then we have our resident expert, Dan Knapp. Dan, hello. What's going on? You're muted, by the way. And Dan is our go-to small business website development guy. So if you can rename your name there, Dan Knapp, and then put your URL kind of like Alan Reeves has, where people can find you, that would be very helpful. And then we got the rock star, the person that holds my life together, Allison Pyron, on the call as well. So she is an unbelievable expert at human resources, culture, tremendous marketing strategist. And any ideas that you have to share as well would be very helpful. And then, of course, anybody that joins us on the live call, we're going to take your questions and answers. So that's kind of the crux of this call, is we come together once a week as a business owners group. And our goal here is to share relevant content, what's working today, what's not working today, take any live questions that you have, mastermind on those questions, and get the answers to the goals and objectives you're trying to hit, some strategies that you can take action on right away, or solve whatever business challenge or problem that you have. Between the 4 of us on this call, probably not going to be a problem we can't handle here. If not, we both have all of us have a network of resources. So with that said, let's talk about baseline strategy. So here we are at the end of Q3, and this is a business owner's mastermind call. So baseline, everybody has a baseline. And so whatever it is that you're trying to measure, whatever it is that you're trying to have an improvement on, you got to determine, okay, first and foremost, what is the measurement that you're going to use? Is it your health? Is it your fitness? Is it your relationships? Is it your customers? Is it your revenue? What is that metrics that you want to measure? So I look in terms of faith, family, finance, fitness, fun, and friends. Those are pretty much the 5-6 areas of a human life that really make up a whole life. So we're here to talk about business. So let's talk about revenue. So what I want you to do, and this is what I do in my own business, and this is what I've done with several clients this week, is the results are what they are. Unless you got more stuff to invoice for this first quarter, your number is what it is. So the first thing I want you to do is, okay, what is that number? And let's just say, let's make it easy math. Let's just say you did $150,000 in the first quarter, and that is your result. Makes it easy, $50,000 a month. The next thing you want to do is detail every single thing that you did this past quarter to achieve the 150. How many, let me give you some ideas. How many new clients did you get in the first quarter? How many existing clients did you have at the end of the quarter? How many quotes did you put out in the first quarter? And how many of those quotes closed? How many closes? And that is a number. So if it's 30 quotes, and that's what you did, you're going to write 30. Minus the ones that are still pending. Okay, we're going to take out the ones that are still pending that can still close next month. How many new quotes did you do in Q1, and how many quotes did you close? So let's just say you closed 20. Okay. If it's important to you, how many appointments did you run? And what I mean by an appointment ran is I mean how many appointments did you have where you talked to somebody or you met with somebody and you walked them through your presentation and you gave them an opportunity to give them a quote, give them an opportunity to say yes or no. You know, yes, you can give me a quote. No, you can't give me a quote. Yes, I'm going to buy. No, I can buy. How many of those appointments did you run? And then we already have the revenue number. And so let's just say, for math's sake and example's sake, let's just say we brought in 10 new clients, and let's just say we ended the quarter with 60 clients, and we did 30 quotes, and we did 20 closes, and we ran 45 appointments. Okay? So let's just say that is, for example's sake, let's just say that is the number. And so what that basically means is this. So in order to make an improvement, we need to do some math here. And this is a reason it's so important to measure this is, so 150,000. So we ended the quarter, 10 new clients, a total of 60 existing clients, which means we started out at 50. And so 150,000, this is the example we're using, divided by 60, that means our average client is $2,500. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
Oh, my Siri on my computer decided to interrupt and chime in on the conversation. Quotes, let's just say 150,000. So when we do quotes and closes, so we have 20 closes, and we did 30 quotes. So 20 divided by 30, that means we had a 66.7 close ratio in that quarter. And out of 150,000, what we'd also need in this formula is out of the quotes, what was the quote? What was the closes total? So let's just say the closes total. Let's just keep in mind with our average client rate, just for example, say 2,500 is our average client times 20 new closes. That's 50,000. Okay, 50,000 in new revenue. We ran 45 appointments to get the 20 closes, and so 50,000 divided by 45. So that means each appointment we ran, whether we closed or not, was worth $1,111. Okay? So that's what each appointment was worth. And so knowing these numbers are the key because, okay, going into the next quarter, we can go, okay, we know that we ran 45 appointments and we closed 20. We know that we gave 30 quotes out of the 45 appointments, and we closed at a 66.7% ratio. And we ended the quarter with 150,000 with 60 total customers. So baseline, okay, so here's everything that we did to achieve that result. So the strategy is this. We're going to continue to do what we've been doing because it has a predictable result. Then what we want to do is decide, okay, do we want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, however many strategies? My recommendation is 1 or 2 new strategies to this quarter that will give me a better result. So what are some of the strategies? Well, we could take our close ratio from a 66.7% close ratio to a 75% close ratio. And we can do that by doing some training on closing and negotiation. I have 2 clients right now that I'm putting through this training right now to get their close ratios up because they have great business models, but one of them only closed at 32%. We're going to get that number to 55%. We're going to continue to do everything that we've been doing, but just that one strategy is going to make them more money this next quarter. The other thing is we can run more appointments. We can, so instead of 45 appointments, we can do 60 appointments. Okay, we can do, an extra 2, 4, 6 more appointments. So we can do 51 appointments. So it's whatever metric I want to decide on. What is the strategy going forward, and how can I run more? How can I do something more that would be easy to implement on top of what I'm already doing that will give me a better result at the end of the quarter? Let's just say we only focus on getting our close ratio to 75%, and we run the same numbers and we come in with the same result. What does that mean in terms of revenue? Well, what that means is this. I'm glad you asked. So that means, let's just say here we are at the end of Q2. We ran the same number of appointments. We had the same number of quotes. The only thing we've changed is our close ratio. And so instead of 20 closes out of 30 quotes, we're going to do 75% close times 0.75. So we're going to close 22.5. Okay. And so 22.5 times 2,500. So that's an additional, wait, that's not right. 22.5 times 2,500. So instead of $50,000 in revenue, new revenue in Q2, we're going to do $56,250 in new revenue. Now, the other thing we can do is we can go after bigger clients. So we can say, hey, instead of a average $2,500 sale, I want to focus on an average $3,500 sale. Okay, so I want to go after a bigger fish. And if I work on my close ratio along with bigger clients, better negotiation, because I'm going to be working on my closing and negotiation skills. And in my experience, if my closing skills are better and my negotiating skills are better, I'm going to negotiate bigger and better deals. And so let's just say we come in at $3,500 on average in new client revenue. So that's $3,500 times 22.5 new customers, or 22.5 new deals. That's a $78,750 new revenue per quarter, which is an increase of $28,750. Okay, so do you see how the math works? I only have to tweak one or two things in my business to have an increase. But the key to this strategy working is do it at the end of the quarter, do it at the end of the month, and do it at the end of the year. And put it in your calendar to look at these numbers. If you do not have a way of tracking these systems, then I have several trackers that I have created for clients over the years, and I want you to reach out to me, and I want you to send me in your first and last name. I want you to text it to me with your email address and put 3/31/21 call, so I know what call you're referencing. And I will give you those trackers on a silver platter. And if you wanted some advanced training on that, just book a 10, 15-minute call through my website, and I'll gladly walk you through your own tracker. So send it to 916-741-0596. So 916-741-0596. That number again is 916-741-0596. And I will give you these trackers. You should be tracking these numbers in your business if you want to see a consistent increase in results. So that's baseline strategy. This is something I do every single quarter. I just finished mine, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Know exactly what I need to do this next quarter to have a consistent increase. So everybody that's on the live call right now, any questions about this? Any clarification? You're all business owners.
No, you pretty well, I mean, you laid it all out there. You can't argue with math at the end of the day. You just got to execute on it.
Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie, man. 2012, 2014, I did work with nothing but salespeople. I got sick and tired of their excuses. So that's why I switched to business owners, where you got money on the line, and in most cases, you got your whole livelihood on the line, and success depends on it. And these are the things that you do to have a consistent increase in your results. So nobody else has any questions or comments. Alan, what's our technology component of today's call? What do you have for us?
Well, it's scary, very scary. So one thing that we see a lot when we go into a business environment are wireless access points. In hospitality, restaurants, hotels, etc., it's an expected amenity. Even Airbnbs, you got that. Now, not long ago, I went to the dentist, and sure enough, there's a guest network in the dental office. It's just expected. And I've said for over a decade now that any operationally mature business understands that technology in the form of internet, in the form of IT support, in the form of the infrastructure that you have and you use to run your business is a utility rather than a novelty. Maybe 20 years ago, that was a little bit different, but any business of any size, any organization of any size needs to have some sort of allocated IT budget. Well, back to the wireless. We routinely, one of my companies, the IT services company, goes into prospects quite a bit, and we will see wireless access points that are made by a company called Ubiquity. We have installed these in a lot of different places, and they work really, really, really well. It also gives us the ability to offer our clients network monitoring, because we can see the status of each of the access points, what might be carrying too heavy a load, create a separate network for the credit card processing, point of sale, that kind of stuff. And Ubiquity wireless access points are controlled through a cloud-based service. We will go into prospects on a fairly common basis and see Ubiquity equipment in place, and the business owner has no idea who has access or who has credentials to control that equipment. Now, again, this is not uncommon, and you can take that wireless equipment and reset it and connect it to a different controller. But at the end of the day, if you're a business owner and you have Ubiquity wireless equipment in your business and you don't know who's controlling it, well, guess what? Some unknown party could, in theory, change your wireless password, intercept traffic, look at traffic patterns, disable your networks altogether. Release.
So just to interrupt you real quick. So if I'm a business owner, small business owner, right? Like I'm in an office here where there's a business owner that owns this office. He has a wireless access point, which I'm on right now.
Right.
But if I went and asked him, hey, who controls your wireless access point, he should be able to tell me. Okay,
correct.
Regardless of whether it's Ubiquity or Billy Bob's wireless access point, right? And so if I don't know as a small business owner whether I'm secure or not with that wireless access point, how would I even know? How would I even know if I'm secure? I mean, I hired the IT guy to set it up. I'm assuming it's good. So how would I know?
Well, in theory, if it is controlled and you're on some sort of management and maintenance, you're paying somebody a monthly fee to maintain that for you. Maybe there's a service guarantee that comes with it. Maybe if the wireless access point, you have an access point goes bad, they just replace it for free. You're getting it as a service with your other IT services. And understand, I'm going somewhere with this. Somewhere very scary. But just to illustrate how common this is, in the past 6 weeks, just off the top of my head, I can think of a property management company and 2 different churches that I've walked into with Ubiquity equipment. They had no idea who held the keys. Okay, so we're all together on that. There is a cybersecurity guru by the name of Brian Krebs, and he has a blog that I subscribe to. I also follow him on Twitter, and I actually have his Twitter alerts set up to notify me anytime he posts anything. Long story short, very long story short, Brian Krebs reported a couple of days ago that a third-party Ubiquity partner was breached in January. And this looks like it was a much worse situation than Ubiquity actually let on. It would appear that a hacker or a collection of hackers got full username and password administrative access to literally tens of thousands of business networks around the country and the world, with the United States as a focal point. This information is either being sold privately, we're looking for it out on the dark web, but these Ubiquity usernames and passwords that allow anybody to log in and change any setting or introduce anything into a business network are now out there, apparently. That's what Krebs is reporting. So if you have a if basically he's saying this, it was so bad that what Ubiquiti should have done was simply deactivate all those accounts immediately. Now, that wouldn't have broken the wireless networks, but it would have required the person in charge of that network to reestablish a brand new password before doing anything with it. They did not do that. So any business out there that has any Ubiquiti brand network equipment at all, whether it's a network switch, a router, a gateway, or a wireless access point, and there are millions out there. Any business that has that brand should either get with their IT provider to find out if the passwords have been changed, make sure that's all secure, or if their IT provider cannot answer that question, get another company in there that can give you a second opinion as to the security of your current network, because that has to be locked down yesterday.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, and for those of you out there that are listening to this recording or you're on the live call that you're a small business owner, it's like, I mean, over the last 20 years, I owned 4 IT companies, and when Alan's talking, I'm like, you know what? That's why I hire people like you, okay? Because I don't know, I don't want to know, I have no idea what I have or if it's secure or anything. So I look at people like yourself and say, hey, you know, can you come in? I don't know if I have you Ubiquiti, even if I did, you know, should it really matter? No, I really need to have somebody like you, because I'm not an engineer as a business owner. And if you're a small business owner listening to this, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because it'll save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're not an engineer, just like me, okay? Not an engineer. I need people like yourself, Alan, to come in and evaluate my network, audit my network, take a look at my network. Regardless, you know, if you're a small business owner and you have 5, 10, 15 employees or more, you have an IT guy or a company. But again, you're not an engineer, okay? And I realized this the hard way when I owned IBNS, and I had 11 great engineers on staff, and one of them was my business partner. And I assumed everything was being taken care of until one of my clients got breached. You know? And I'm like, I talked to Justin. I'm like, dude, I don't understand this crap, you know? And I learned a very valuable lesson. And I owned the damn company at the time. I'm like, I started looking for people like yourself, Alan. I'm like, hey, I need somebody, a third party of some sort, to come in outside of my current guy or network and audit and evaluate my stuff and tell me, hey, is it set up right? Is it not? At least give me a second opinion. So if you get nothing out of this call except this, is you may have a Ubiquiti wireless access point. You may have, you know, Cisco. You may have Meraki. You may have Billy Bob's wireless thing, okay? But if you're not an engineer like most of us business owners aren't, we would want to have somebody like yourself, Alan, you and your team come in and audit it, right? Is that something that you guys do?
It's something that we absolutely do. And, you know, we don't, nobody likes to lead a consultative process with fear, but we're also being completely irresponsible if we don't bring to light the risks that a business owner is facing. And you know, and I'll just say this, and I think I said something about this on a recent call. I did a site survey at a dental office, a high-end dental office, very recently. And I discovered that the server had not backed up since October of last year. I discovered that the antivirus on the server had not been updated since April of 2020. I discovered that the server had not been rebooted in 160 days. I discovered that a lot of the computers, and understand this office is doing so well that they buy Apple Mac computers because they like the way they look, but they run Windows on them. the aesthetics of this office, it's like you walked into a high-end spa in Cabo San Lucas. So they're not short on cash flow, all right? But from a, from a technology standpoint, it was horrifying. And I brought this to the attention of the practice owner, and he just went head in the sand, not non-responsive. He's paying a high-end IT service provider based out of Texas to run his network. And in his mind, they're high-end. They only do dental practices. He's paying them a lot of money. I was brought in to fulfill a favor he owed to a patient. I don't think he expected us to find anything. And I think he had a really hard time wrapping his head around the fact that he's a train wreck, and he can't deal with it. And we encounter a lot of business owners like that. I guarantee you, John, out of the hundreds or thousands that are listening to this now and will listen to it later, over 50% of the business owners are going to be going, well, I don't know if I have ubiquity equipment. Therefore, maybe I just shouldn't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? I mean, that's like, hey, I'm standing here on the side of the road and I'm waving at you as you drive by, and I've got a sign. I'm like, hey, you may have just filled up your car with kerosene. You may be about to blow up your engine. I don't know. I won't know until you stop your car and I can look and test it. But you may be about to do serious damage to the thing that gets you back and forth to work, or your family members that are sitting in the back seat. You can't ignore that. Don't ignore these things.
So the thing is the one big takeaway that I get from this as a small business owner is, you know what? You need to have somebody else take a look at it. Whether it be Mouse Calls, anybody else, Mouse Calls for sure. MouseCallsOnline.com. Definitely go there and have them evaluate what it is you got set up. Allison posted in here the security industry you ran into, because Allison's been in the security industry for well over 15 years. Ran into the same problem with products that were manufactured in China. I believe this product, Ubiquity, is also made in China. And so whether that has anything to do with anything or not, it's just something to point out. It's like, hey, you don't know unless you have a second opinion. It's like, as a business, I have a bookkeeper doing my bookkeeping, but if I don't have an accountant verifying the bookkeeping can be all screwed up. And the only time it ever matters is when I get into an IRS audit. Right? Why do I have homeowner insurance? Well, if the house starts burning down, that's not the time to call the homeowner insurance guy and go, can you get me some insurance? Right? When I get hit by a car or I hit somebody in my car, that's not the time to call your car insurance guy and say, hey, can you update my car insurance? Right? Computer networks, for the many, many years as just a business owner, the conversation was simply this: your entire business runs on your computer system. Okay. If you don't do regular maintenance on that computer system, then you run into things like antivirus hasn't been updated since April of last year. Server hasn't been rebooted in forever. Could probably crash at any moment. The next day you come in and everything is down. So don't put yourself in that situation. And here's the biggest myth business owners run with when it comes to technology. You know what? I don't have any problems, man. It works just great, until it doesn't. Until it doesn't. Until everything goes to hell in a handbasket and you can't get your crap back. So don't let that be you. Reach out to Mouse Calls for sure. And for the sake of time, got to move on here real quick. Dan Knapp, I'm going to put you on deck next real quick. And then I'm going to bring up Dan here. Dan Rogers, that is. So Dan Knapp, what do you got for us from a website standpoint?
Well, I was just listening to Alan.
What do people need to be thinking about going into the second quarter as it relates to their websites, web presence, that sort of thing?
I was listening to Alan, and it got me thinking about some of the security things I recently just read about. And if you have a WordPress site, there's a piece of software. There's several out there, but there's one called WordFence, and they just did their audit for 2020, and you'll never guess the number of WordPress login attempts that were blocked by WordFence in 2020? You want to take a wild guess?
Billion.
90 billion. Basically amounts to about 2,800 attacks per second. And that's just login attacks. That's not other vulnerability exploits. And I think it's the same thing. The business owners don't know, don't care. They don't, I mean, not aware this is happening. They have no idea that they're really constantly under attack because people are trying to get in and get a hold of your site so they can get into your customer's computer or their customer's phone. I don't have an iPhone, but recently, one of the biggest viruses that hit the iPhone world came off of just basic websites that had been exploited, got into an iPhone. Well, now you're talking some serious problems now because you have Apple Pay, you've got your contacts, you've got, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And it just came from, it could have just been, a simple visit to your plumber's website. And the plumber doesn't know, doesn't really pay attention to that kind of thing. So I think it's the same thing. It's just, it's a head in the sand kind of thing. But, there's 4.3 billion vulnerability exploits happening on our websites in 2020. And that's just trying to find, all those different PHP codes that haven't been updated recently. So that'd be my 2 cents. I know we're running on short time, so I'll do it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing I like about the reason I wanted you definitely to be here is going into Q2, websites are becoming very, very important, and it's becoming a source of commerce. It's becoming a source of communication. The more and more people do Zoom, they're doing blog articles, they're doing podcast channels, they're doing vlogs, they're doing all kinds of stuff through their website. But if they never have it checked out and then they never have it updated, they're vulnerable. And I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question. What is the biggest complaint that most small business owners have about their web guy or gal?
Yeah, can't get a hold of them.
Can't get a hold of them.
Can't get a hold of anybody. I've been trying to get this new staff member on my site for 6 months. I can't get a hold of anyone. Or I can't get a hold of them. $500 to make that one change.
Yeah. Can't get a hold of them to make a change. So that's the thing. It's the reason I partner with Red Hot Media Productions is you guys actually answer your phone and you're able to get updates done right away and get stuff done all for a flat fee. So if you're a small business owner, I highly recommend you reach out to redhotmediaproductions.com and see what they can do to take care of you. So let's move on to one of my people I specifically asked to join today because there's some updates in the area of business finance. And I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself, Mr. Dan. And so, Dan, what do you got for us in the area of small business finance? I mean, you used to work for the SBA. Now you work for Harvest. You know a lot in this area. So speaking to the small business owners that are out there, what are the things that small business owners should know about business finance? Maybe they don't have access to it. Maybe it's a mystery. What can you share with us?
Yeah, so thank you, John. There's several things that if I was to tell every business owner to do, one is start local and work your way up to the federal government for city grants, city promotions, county grants, county promotions. California had a statewide grant that was available to a certain portion of the population. If you're not looking for those free money type of places, talk to your local chamber, talk to your local small business development center. You can find them at americassbdc.org. You can just type in your zip code, it'll take you to the local center. These are consultants paid for by the federal government to help you access business capital, both free sources and also paid sources. So that's like, go there, start looking for your information. And there's two other little updates. The PPP second draw round 2, the extension is supposed to be ending today for applications to be submitted to the SBA. It is now extended to the end of May to get your applications in. Lenders have therefore after that 1 month to get them submitted to the SBA. So if you haven't submitted your second round PPP, you can still do that. If you're saying to yourself, well, I don't have payroll, trust me, there's a lot of people who don't quote unquote have payroll, but if your business allows you to pay your mortgage payment or your car payment or your rent or your food, you're getting payroll from your company. If you're a sole prop, if you're 1099, there are provisions for people to make up to the maximum earnings of $100,000 a year paid out in a 2.5 month check. So if you make 100 grand a year or make 150 or a million, you're eligible for a 20,300 and something $1,000 PPP loan, which is likely forgivable. Next, the EIDL program is back, baby. EIDL, the Economic Injury Development Program, which is a direct loan from the SBA, is available. It's opening, I believe, on April 4th or April 5th. That's not an April Fool's joke. And the numbers have gone way up. You were capped in the last round of EIDL when I was at the SBA of $150,000. 95% of people got 150 or less. Some people got more. But they're going to open up the purse and allow businesses to get up to, I believe, about $500,000. I haven't researched the qualifications for this, but generally it's businesses in business under a certain particular time frame. Anyhow, look at that. And if you have questions, you can go to your local SBDC about the EIDL questions. You can call your local SBA district office. You can find that at sba.gov under resources. Your local PTAC, your procurement center, your women-owned business center, your let's see what else, SBDC, and anyhow, you can call your local SBDC. And when it comes to the myth, you asked about like some sort of misconceptions. I get the call all the time around business capital, business finance, and the myth is that you have to get a business capital from your bank or from a bank. And if you're not going to a loan business lending broker, that you can obviously find one in any city. And if you're not going to the SBDC to hear all of your available capital options, that means you're being underwritten for your bank's loan criteria, and you might not fit your bank's loan criteria. And there may be a bank that you've never heard of their name who is looking for clients like you and your particular type of category. And through John, I mean, I offer my information on access to business capital to SBDCs. I teach them how to do this. I teach chambers of commerce how to do this. Every person who contacts me and asks me about all kinds of crazy loans, I teach them about how to access and look for all of the available options. You can always contact John, and he can put you in touch with me, and I'll just talk to you. Like I don't work for a company, but like I work for.
Don't contact John. Just
contact Dan Rogers.
Look at Dan Rogers' name on the screen here. It says D Rogers at harvestcref.com.
Yes, that will be a direct email to me and say, hey, I saw you on John's podcast. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't know that was available.
Now you can contact me if you want. Just invite me out for dinner or whatever. But
so something that Alan and you were talking about, and even the web designer I was talking about, how I think about business and their buying cycles. It's like 3 different like vertical cosines, like sine waves. And what Alan is talking about is that 911 sine wave that happens every now and then. Like you can't plan for emergencies, but you should know that emergencies are going to happen, like car insurance, web hackings. Suddenly you get sued and you need business capital, like these emergency type things. But then there's kind of like a steady eddy cosine wave of like they're buying every other month, like website updates, or they're buying every single month IT updates and fixes. And then every now and then you have forecasted big capital expenditures, like they're going to replace the roof, they're going to replace all the servers, they're going to add all new computers, they're going to buy a new vehicle, they're going to buy a building. And to be really successful, in my own opinion, in business, is you have to have marketing that is talking to all 3 types of situation. Planning for your next big capital expenditure, you want to get in on that conversation 8 to 10 months in advance of it. The regular stuff, you want to be in that conversation when the next contract is up. Emergency, that you want to have your name on a mouse pad or on a business card or on a sticky note, so that when there's an emergency they can call you when it comes up. So you have to market to all 3 of those things, because we never know when the emergency is going to come up. But it's really helpful to get business if you can solve the emergency it's amazing how many people win the next round of business, like the big contract, if you can help people with their emergency. So I don't think you should be marketing all 3 messages in one email, like one message per email or one message per Twitter blast or one message per phone call. But there's 3 different, very, very distinct buying cycles that that IT, that website, the capital, that we're all talking to, any business owner is kind of talking to, and knowing that there's going to be emergencies and kind of telling people what the impending doom is. I don't think it's bad. Like Alan said, it was kind of like, careful of being gloom and doom. Nah, just be gloom and doom in one email, and then the next one it's all about happy stuff about how you're monitoring things on a daily basis. Like that's
Sure.
That's my little fit. Any questions that then it has capital, because I'm on a roll here. I just had a
So under
I'm ready to go.
So under the new EIDL, I would imagine a lot of the same terms exist as before, except it's more money. It's a low interest rate, anywhere from 1 to 1.5%, amortized over 30 years.
Yeah.
First payment's not due for 12 months, and so if all those things are the same, I mean, I had 4 clients last year get an average, like one got 150K, another one actually 2 of them got 150K, the others got well over 100, and only one of them actually used any of that money. The rest of it's just sitting in an account at 1.34% interest. And I mean, it's the cheapest money you can get. You're not going to get that at any bank. And you're not going to get this loan ever again in your lifetime, probably. Okay. So if you have the ability to get an EIDL loan, I would highly recommend it. Now, what Alan talked about before, and what I talked about having your technology evaluated, I've done technology sales for many, many years, well over 20 years. And one of the things that we used to bridge the gap for small business owners is, okay, this is going to cost you $65,000 to upgrade your network. Do you want a technology lease? And it's usually a 3-year buyout, dollar buyout lease that's at 12.5%, right? And then you pay $1 to own the equipment. Well, if you get an EIDL loan, the terms and conditions of the EIDL, as I understand it, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, is it's to be used for capital expenditures in your business, operating expenses, payroll, equipment buying, things like that. One parameter is it has to be U.S.-based stuff, okay? It has to be bought here.
John, there's another little parameter there, and I have to speak from what it used to be, and I would double check on the industry. I think the PPP was 1%. I think the IDA was 3.5 or 3.75%. It was kind of like a low rate mortgage at the time. Just double check that. When it comes to the usage of the funds, it has to be for normal, as in recurring, you've done it before, business expenses. Great or large capital expenditures are actually disallowed, quote unquote, under the program. And so you have to be very careful about using it to pay off other debt. That's a disallowed thing. If you're going to go buy a new vehicle, but if you're buying a vehicle is not in the normal course of your business all the time, then that would be disallowed. So just make sure you read kind of the fine point of it. So also, if you're paying yourself the payroll, which is a allowable expense, or let's say you and your wife are on the payroll, and you pay your payroll and you pay your payroll, once it goes into your own bank account and then you cash that money into green and you go to the casino or you go to the IT shop, now that's a different situation. So I'm not telling you that there's a workaround, but I'm just saying that if you put it into your bank account and then you cash it out, then like you can do with your money what you want to it. Just you can't go from an idle depository account and write a check for a Ford van or $65,000 worth of service.
Yeah. So, but keep it in the same too. That again, you need to talk to your tax advisor. Okay. Anybody listening to this call, you should talk to your tax advisor. Okay. But in the normal course of business, a reoccurring expense is technology refresh. Okay. And I would imagine somewhere, somehow, somebody wrote some sort of loophole. But again, you need to check with your tax advisor on what's legal and what's not legal. Okay. But if you need any help with business capital, any questions about business finance, Dan Rogers can do business all over the United States. And so you should reach out to him. Wealth of knowledge. absolute wealth of knowledge. So let me see here. Okay, let's see. We're right on the money. So with that said, go to my YouTube channel if you want access to this recording right away. Just go to my YouTube channel, John Pyron, and you can see the recording. It's already up there. It'll be on my website at johnpyron.com. Again, if you want a copy of today's recording and all the resources we promised to give you, send an email or send me a text message to 916-741-0596. Put your name and email address in there, and I will add you to the Dropbox folder for the trackers to track your business systems. And join us next week. Every week you can count on there's going to be some sort of thing I'm going to talk about business-wise. There's going to be some sort of thing Alan's going to talk about technology-wise. And then we're going to always have one or two special guests on here. But the call is for you, the small business owner. Bring your largest problem so we can give you some strategies and solutions to it, or your biggest goals so we can give you some strategies and action plans on how to get there. Until then, go out and make it a 10x week. We'll talk to you later.